Ooh, okay. I've been thinking about this, how to present it, for quite some time now. And the title, you can see, is Drinking Alcohol is Insane. And that is not an exaggeration in any way whatsoever. Drinking alcohol is completely insane. And the fact that we have a society that produces alcohol, distributes it, and encourages its use for recreational purposes, it should really heighten alertness. Because it doesn't matter what kind of alcohol you drink. It doesn't matter with regards to the proof. It doesn't matter what essence it is contained in. So it doesn't matter the flavor. Nothing. Whether it's beer, wine, any alcohol whatsoever, drinking it is insane. Now, there's several reasons I'm going to talk about. Number one, I think, is the most important one, is that there's really the base chemical. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't know. The base chemical that is consumed is also referred to as ethanol or ethyl alcohol. And if you drive a vehicle, you might have noticed when you go to gas stations that some gasoline is mixed with ethanol. And the reason it's mixed with ethanol is to improve the quality of the exhaust fumes. There's something with regards to the combustion with the engine where ethanol helps. Although some people argue that, I don't care because I don't drive anymore and I don't care to drive anymore. I have no interest in driving. It doesn't serve me in any way whatsoever, and I can see what it does and how it impacts a lot of people and how it impacted me in the past. But there's nothing in the body that benefits by consuming alcohol. It is incompatible with the biological activity, the internal combustion, if you will, of your system. It doesn't do anything for it good. Nothing. In fact, it makes you weaker. Now, it should come as no surprise when a person overindulges in alcohol on an empty stomach or in full stomach, whatever. Oftentimes there's dry heaves, or they're not dry if we've eaten well. Depends on what we drank. So we throw up. We get headaches that last for hours. We slow down. We actually experience pain. Why do you think that is? It's because it's not good for you. Not even in moderation. Because in moderation, it will still have the same effect of rewiring your brain. Now, this is the most important part. In 1988, the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified alcohol as a type 1 carcinogen. People mistake what that exactly means. It doesn't mean that you will automatically get cancer if you drink alcohol. But what it does mean is that the more alcohol you drink, the more bullets you put in the chamber. The greater the chances of you not experiencing the average life expectancy. It shortens your life, can dramatically shorten your life. And if you combine alcohol with other cancer provoking lifestyles like smoking tobacco, or being obese, then you definitely reduce your chances of living a long and healthy life. But it is a type 1 carcinogen. Now, to put it in perspective, 2 years before that, in 1986, that's when tobacco was classified as a type 1 carcinogen. Now, when you buy tobacco product, you see a warning label. You don't see a warning label on alcohol, although you should, because the impact is actually worse, because there's more of a sudden death that can be attributed. Smoking is a slow-paced death, but alcohol can be a sudden death. You can suddenly poison your liver right there, or you can suddenly be in a car accident, or you can suddenly discharge a weapon. These are things that happen when alcohol is present in the system. But to clarify a little bit more, it's not the alcohol, the base chemical, that is cancerous. When you drink alcohol, immediately your body begins to work to get it the hell out, because it's not something that is in any way friendly to your biochemical processing. Nothing. So part of the processing that takes place in the liver creates acetaldehyde. Now, I may be pronouncing that incorrectly, or some people may have a different pronunciation. You can look it up. But acetaldehyde is the cancerous byproduct, the carcinogen. And the more you drink, the more acetaldehyde is accumulated in the body. And when a person does not engage in meaningful detoxification activities, then that acetaldehyde stays in the body longer. And the best way to think about it is that the acetaldehyde is like microscopic shards of glass, and it just scars the liver, the cirrhosis. It shouldn't surprise people that there are 7 different cancers that are associated with alcohol consumption, including colorectal and breast cancer. And the alcohol gene, if you will, is also something that's passed down to generations. So if 1 or 2 parents consumed alcohol and they never developed any negative side effects from it, well, they gave their progeny a chance to do it. And that's happened. So there's absolutely no benefit to consuming alcohol. Now, people will say that they've heard doctors indicate that, it's okay in moderation. No. In fact, the International Agency for Research on Cancer said that there's no amount of alcohol that's consumed that comes without consequence. Again, that doesn't mean if you have 1 drink, you're going to die on the spot. But you never know. Your chances just got better. I drank for 42 years. I'm not a raging alcoholic, but, definitely somebody, I wouldn't go and sit in bars, although there was times when I would do this, just short spells. But mostly a social drinker. And then when I got social, I got really social. Pretty strange when I look back and remember all the things that I did. It's also a neurodepressant. In other words, the more alcohol you drink, it's not going to make you happier. It's not going to make the situation better. It's not going to make you stronger. It's actually going to make your body and your mind weaker to deal with the adversities that you have to face. And if you have to face adversity, doesn't it make sense to face adversity at full strength rather than half mass? Everything they tell you about alcohol is false. And you see right now, Alcohol, the economy, the size of the alcohol economy is about 1/4 of the military budget. So $250 billion, somewhere around there. Doesn't matter, give or take a penny. But of course, so that means that there are a lot of livelihoods that are at stake distributing and selling poison to people that don't know any better. And of course, when you're young, especially if you see adults and those closest to you, your uncles, your aunts, your grandparents, your parents, consuming alcohol, you don't think anything of it. You are, in those situations, passively groomed to think that consuming alcohol is okay. There is nothing normal about it. Nothing normal about it whatsoever. And you can argue, you can justify, you can say whatever you want, but there is nothing normal about consuming alcohol. It's a poison. It's a toxic poison. It poisons your liver, it poisons your blood, it poisons your mind. What it actually does as a neurodepressant, it rewires the reward system in your brain. It rewires your thoughts. It actually alters or hinders your ability to have rational thought processing in the prefrontal cortex area of the brain where the logical activity of your brain happens, not the emotional activity in your brain. Most people do not have a logical operating system. Their system has an emotional foundation, not a logical foundation. It's an emotional foundation. An emotional foundation that has fear and aggression and different. There's no one type of emotional behavioral models. There are many. There's aggressive. There's fearful. There's paranoid. But we respond differently when we respond emotionally to adversity or to situations that are odd, that we're not accustomed to. We do not like to put ourselves in situations where things are different. We like things to be the same. Anytime anything threatens the homogeneity of our existence, the sort of the passivity, the passive flow, we freak out because we don't train ourselves to deal with these things. We just hide. We hide with alcohol. We hide with other opiates. I myself have consumed marijuana. Is the least damaging. Let me put it in further perspective. On a daily basis, tobacco kills on average in the United States 1,300 people. On a daily basis, alcohol kills north of 480 people, or just say 500. So 500 people die on a daily basis. That could be a car wreck. That could be a violent confrontation. That could be liver poisoning. That could be the effects of, the long-term effects of habitual alcohol drinking, like all of a sudden the liver completely failing because of cirrhosis, low blood pressure or high blood pressure, whatever, obesity, whatever. On a daily basis, fentanyl kills 80. So tobacco kills 1,300, alcohol kills 500, So that's 1,800 right there, almost 2,000. And fentanyl kills 80 a day. I have to ask you, which is more dangerous? The one that kills almost 2,000 on a daily basis, or the one that kills 80 on a daily basis? The difference between the two is with fentanyl, since it is, a lot of it is black market, that means that that's money that the government won't be able to get. It's laundered, and it's not taxable. Tobacco, alcohol is taxable. The government gets its share in the slow process of killing you. The status quo is that drinking alcohol is normal, and it's not. And it's the status quo because it serves others. It doesn't serve the drinker. We become more vulnerable. We become physically weaker. We become stupider because we actually lose our ability to think and rely on other tools, aggressions and social media, passive aggressions, and other things that people say. One of the substances that most people talk about is wine. Well, wine is harmless. Well, when it comes to wine, the product or the element that they're referring to is a chemical substance called resveratrol. Well, in order to get the benefits of resveratrol, the presence of resveratrol is so minuscule in wine that in order to get the full benefits from consuming resveratrol, you would have to consume enough wine to get liver poisoning. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. There are no benefits. And so if you want to continue drinking alcohol, it's because, one, you're too weak mentally to stop. And that mental weakness comes from the habitual drinking of alcohol. Conviction, will, and effort, desires, these are all things that need to be exercised in order to have resonance and strength. You don't get energy by consuming drinks. You don't get energy by absorbing or by looking at other people that have strengths. You don't get energy by pumping iron. You have to create your energy. And to create your energy, you have to move with intention, with deliberateness, with challenges. And you have to not just meet the challenge, but you have to exceed the challenge. And you have to thrive for exceeding that challenge. You have to pay attention to what's happening to your body. You have to look at your body. Most people don't. Or too many people don't care about their body. That's apparent. And it's sad. Because a body that is out of balance, that is not experiencing complete homeostasis, a baseline, a complete baseline, is a body that does not have pure thoughts, pure emotions. They're all distorted. They're corrupted with the introduction of any artificial element that we try to rely on instead of naturally building our strength and endurance. I was able to get it. It seems to me that I'm in a culture that is very reluctant to move. And they want the rewards. That is the nature of the culture, where we want the rewards, big rewards, with minimal effort. Big rewards with minimal effort. And we can see the consequences of that. a 20-minute rant against alcohol.